So the Finger Lakes got the best of me, and I didn't get a chance to finish my research for this week's video. So let's do something a little different. Let's talk about my favorite crime-related books currently on my bookshelf. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things true crime. My name is Peyton. Like I said in the intro, we are going to be doing something a little bit different today. If you watched my last video, then you know I went to the Finger Lakes this past weekend, and so I did not have time to finish my research on the next case I wanted to discuss with you guys, but I didn't want to fully leave you hanging. This is getting posted a little late, but it is what it is. Since you seem to like when I discussed crime-related movies, I thought why not talk about some of the crime-related books that I love. So I grabbed 5 off my bookshelf today to talk about. Well, technically, physically, there's 4 books. One of them we may or may not talk about, but one of them I can't locate. I think it may be at my parents' house, but I will make sure to put a picture up when I talk about it. Before we get started, please make sure to hit that red subscribe button down below and turn on your post notifications so you do not miss any future content. If you end up liking this video, we can do more of these. Please let me know and I will make sure to start incorporating it into the schedule. Please proceed with caution, as some of these books do include stuff like sexual assault, rape, and violence, and discussing the material may be triggering to some. So I have a lot of favorite crime-related books, and there's a lot on my bookshelf, but like I said, I only picked a couple. And today I'm going to start by talking about The Cellar by Natasha Preston. This would be the book I couldn't locate, so I will post a picture of it. And this is one of my all-time favorites. I have read it multiple times. And this book catapulted Preston to literary fame when she released it on Wattpad. If you do not know what Wattpad is, it is a story writing app / website where you can post stories chapter by chapter or completely for people to read. They can be posted while you are writing the book or when it is completely finished. I do know the platform's changed a little bit since when I had been on it, but it's still there and it's still a cool thing. So if you really like to read or if you like to write, please check it out. The Cellar was originally published in 2014 and centers on a main character named Summer. She is kidnapped by a man who calls himself Clover, and he locks her in a basement with a couple other young women. There's one woman that's a little bit older. While down there, she is named Lily, and the other girls down there are also called by flower names. The captor calls them his flowers, and he would even bring them flowers and would get really upset if they let them die. It is a very emotional book. It can be a little traumatizing. These women do endure so much trauma. One named Rose had been in there for a long time, and you can possibly see her even suffering from something such as Stockholm Syndrome. Huge trigger warning. But anyway, he takes turns doing things like raping the girls, etc. It is quite disturbing, but I love it because Preston wrote it so beautifully and with so much compassion. She did it in a really good way, and the symbolism of the girls being named after flowers is just incredible. They're essentially just like flowers being left to wilt away and die down in the cellar. If you have not read it, I highly recommend it. Preston has a lot more books out on the shelf now, but this one and I think it was her second book kind of like this, Awake, are my 2 favorites so far that I've read. I still read them. I think they're considered young adult, but yeah, The Cellar and Awake are both really good. Just reiterating though, it can be quite disturbing. And so for those of you who have read it and may not know, there used to be a small sequel posted on Wattpad as well if you want to try and find it. Not sure if it's still up there, but I did read it. It was pretty good. I believe Clover, their captor, actually gets out and tries to find the girls. If it's still on there, you should definitely check it out. I'm sure it is, but it was never turned into an actual book. So next I want to talk to you about the book My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This one was originally published in 2020, and I am bringing it up to you with a very heavy trigger warning, just like the last one. This is another one that discusses very sensitive material, but it is written in such a beautiful way. The main character is essentially groomed and enters into a very inappropriate relationship with her teacher. What is so scary and sad about this one is it happens to people all the time, and it is covered up. This doesn't just go over the inappropriate acts themselves and how they entered into the relationship, but it also discusses the aftermath and the mental trauma that something like this can have on somebody. When this book originally came out, Russell stated that it was a complete work of fiction and that it was not really related to her life. However, later she basically did come out and say that it was pretty much based on things that she lived through. I mean, what a brave woman to pretty much share her story, but under a different name. So like the name of the people in it aren't real people, but it is something that happens to people all the time. Super heavy subject matter. It can be one you want to put down for a while and then maybe come back to, but I highly recommend it. So next we have a book called Kill All Your Darlings by David Bell. This was originally published in 2021 and kind of stays with the theme of My Dark Vanessa by talking about sexual harassment in academia. The main character in this one is an English professor who essentially stole a book that one of his students wrote about a murder, and then she goes missing. So this is when he takes her book and he ends up getting a book deal for it and everything, and his life is looking up. But then the missing student shows up threatening to expose him for basically stealing her literary work. And after that, police show up to his doorstep, questioning him because the book details correlate very closely with a real-life murder that occurred. While this one is just under 4 stars on Goodreads, I think it is a good one, and I think you should definitely check it out. I love the premise behind this one a lot. Like I said, it does discuss harassment in academia, not as heavy as My Dark Vanessa in any way. I mean, it discusses heavier themes, but it is nowhere as deep as My Dark Vanessa or even The Cellar. But I highly recommend it. So one of the last ones I want to talk to you about is The Wicked Sister by Karen Dionne. This was published in 2020 and I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It is a very quick read and there should be a trigger warning just like the rest of them. They're crime books because it discusses murder, mental health, and animal torture. The book is about a girl named Rachel Cunningham, that has spent the last decade in a psychiatric facility due to huge gaps in her memory from a traumatic event. The traumatic events would be her parents being murdered and her not knowing if she was the one who did it or not. The story follows Cunningham as she goes home to a remote homestead where her parents died. They moved out there because her older sister was experiencing some odd behavior, and both parents studied nature, so it was the perfect place for them. The story goes back and forth between the past and the present, which gives you a glimpse at the household and lets you draw your own conclusions about the characters. I did not guess the ending right away, which is always a good thing. It really gives you a good look at the mind of a sociopath and a parasite through the eyes of the parents as well as the sibling. Like the others, I recommend this one. I don't want to say too much about this one as it may spoil it for you. So that was going to be my last book, but I think I am going to bring one other one up to you guys as well. This one, I believe this one may have been a book talk book. It was a book club favorites book, and it was called Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I really liked this one as well. A friend from work had gotten this for me for Christmas last year. It's another one that kind of like The Cellar and My Dark Vanessa discusses some traumatic events. Basically, the main character, she's kidnapped and her parents can't find her, you know, she disappears, and her mom never gives up looking for her daughter. And when her mom finds a man that she likes and she starts dating him, she notices some things that are very strange that may be connected to her daughter. Again, don't want to tell you too much about this one because I feel like it'd be really easy to give parts away. Trigger warning, because there is captivity and things such as that, but I really recommend it, really liked it. So those are all the books we are going to discuss today. If you have not read them, I recommend you try them out. Some may even be available as audiobooks. If you have not done so already, please make sure to hit that red subscribe button down below and turn on your post notifications so you do not miss a thing. And to follow me on social media, all my handles are linked down below in the description box. I will also link all of the books down below if you would like to check them out. I am planning on making a short video with some video clips and pictures from my Finger Lakes trip, so stay tuned for that. As always, before you go, remember that the world's most dangerous minds hide in the most unlikely places, and to stay safe.